Hey everybody, it's Neil from Heavyocity, and I'm really glad to be back with you guys again. Today we're going to take a look at a new product called Scoring Acoustic Guitars. And we've got a nylon string guitar and an acoustic guitar with steel strings. The difference with the nylon has a very kind of round, warm tone. And if you're not familiar with nylon string guitars, they're often used in classical music, jazz music, but you hear them in pop on occasion and film score as well. It's a beautiful sounding instrument, and then a steel string acoustic, which you typically will hear in, folk and rock and all that stuff. But the two have a very different sound than we had in Scoring Guitars 1 and Scoring Guitars 2. Those were both just electric guitars. And when we processed them to make, things like pads, and different textures for this product, we found they really took processing well. And I think that's partly because the sound of the body, there's an actual physical body for an acoustic guitar that resonates, it speaks more loudly, and it just has a unique tone. You're not talking about an electric guitar that, there's a tone to the wood that it's made and the pickups and all these other factors, but with a beautiful sounding nylon string and acoustic guitar, it really speaks beautifully. And I think you guys will hear that in the demo, so why don't we just get right to it and take a listen. All right, so the first thing we'll take a look at here is this A minor acoustic guitarscape. It's a pretty neat texture. There's a bunch of them here. And down here are the different keys. So you can modulate. Next up, we're going to check out the intro melody. All right, we got main volume, and then we've got something else going on, a little trick, which you'll hear, and then I'll just show you. So here. So it starts off super wet, kind of like as an introduction, it's coming out of the kind of the wet depths. All I did was right-click, learn MIDI CC, turn one of my MIDI CC value knobs, and it just automatically assigns to it. So I wrote it as automation data, so you can see the curve here. And it's backing the reverb down so it becomes more present. And there's a secondary part here. And then here. You can hear it's drier. So there's a bunch of rhythms too. And I chose these two, which I felt worked pretty well together with the melody. If we listen to these three things, So I kind of created this interplay between the pulse which is still kind of a melodic guitar line, and then the little melody bits, which I really kind of stumbled upon that sound by playing around with different melodies and different pulses, and I think it works pretty nicely. So let's open these two up. So this is the melody against the rhythm, or the pulse as we refer to it, and it ends, and then it modulates into E minor. That's kind of tailing out into where our break begins. All right, so let's take a look at this. So we've changed the key. And I was pretty liberal with the delay on this. I like just how it kind of rolls with the delay. So I'm using the melody bits here, and just kind of, there's a bunch of them. Here, an octave up in reverse, which is kind of neat, and I use some of that too on a different track. So let's see what's going on in the phrases here. And that's one of the steel string guitars. It's more chimey sounding, it's brighter sounding. Okay, so those two parts together, rhythmic pedal and the steel pulses. So it's kind of vamping along and trading parts. There's also this E minor nylon and steel pulses, which I added in. And that's a reverse. And what do we have here? To make it a little interesting, I put a filter on this particular reverse rhythm, and you hear it open. It's kind of gives it a synthy quality. So if you take a look at this cutoff frequency, you're going to see that move. And here's the CC data, right? And again, I just right-clicked and learned MIDI CC, grabbed a knob. In this case, it looks like it was CC 17 on my controller down here, and we get a cool effect. See that filter opening up. So that's kind of neat. Let's see how that works and interplays with the other parts. So I like to kind of build these layers that are working together, they're playing off each other and not really stepping on each other's toes, which can be difficult sometimes. So you experiment with different rhythms. This E minor nylon steel pulses in reverse, that's what the REV stands for. There's one. It's just a neat sound, and they're right there and they're tempo synced, very quick to use and pretty cool. All right, so acoustic guitarscapes. Let's take a listen to this. It's just like a neat vibe. There's another one from the same patch. Sounds like a reverse guitar harmonic. All sorts of flavors. Some Boston accent in there for you. Flavors, all sorts of flavors. Yes. So for the most part, that's what's going on in this section with the guitars. There is a key change, like I said, and let's take a look at how I did that. So for back here, let's find that part. It's down there, right? So this, we're using the E minor nylon phrase menu, and you'll notice, I'll click here. This is a key. And that is another key. So this changes the key. Right, it's an A. And then it rolls up here, and we modulate into E. Could very much go back into A. But we don't want that. So that's how I made the shift with the key. And let's see what else. I think we'll maybe take a look at some of the other instruments. I used a little piano in this from Ascend, our modern grand piano, which I thought was a cool flavor. It worked nicely with a nylon and some of the steel textures going on here. So, and there's also some strings. Let's first take a look at the piano. What happens here? That's all it is if we unsolo this. And that reverse guitar part is really starting to build, and we've got that filter with the top end shaved off, so it's kind of murky and it's coming out of the murk to be more present. And then some of the melodies that we took a look at, you start to hear those in the interplay. Another kind of gluey thing going on here are strings. In this next section, I used from our library rhythmic textures, which is unlike Novo, which is like 53 players. It's considerably smaller, more like chamber sound. And I have two different textures for each one's violins. The first one is SP waves, and then the second one is pulse waves. So together, this is part of the flavor. So those two together, they have kind of a nice movement there. And then same with the violas. I use the same two articulations. And then cellos. So let's see how that sounds without the drums. So the root motion on the strings really kind of drives the progression, has this kind of bearing down feeling to it. And then it opens up nicely there. I was trying to say it opens up nicely there. And let's see how that plays into the end. And then that's out. So let's take a listen from the top. With the percussion, we'll take a quick listen to that. It's from Damage 2, not to be mistaken with Damage 1. Which we recently released a few months ago and is super cool, and I love the percussion in it. So enough about that. Let's give it a listen. So the percussion in this is pretty minimalist, just to drive it along. Got these kind of ticky parts going on in the beginning. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. And without it soloed. And strings come in. Piano break, setting up E minor from A minor. Cool. So that's the piece. I actually am only using a few guitar tracks, and as you could see, and we went through, I modulated from A minor to E minor, and used the key switching keys that are programmed to do so, which is really effective, and played with some of the effects, some reverb as we saw that coming in from really wet and backing it off once the melody really started with the drums. And delay as well. I usually like to use delay with a lot of feedback, but not super loud, which makes things have a nice kind of rolling tail. One more time from the top, just to hear the whole thing. right, so thanks for watching. This was Scoring Acoustic Guitars. Hope you guys got a sense of the different timbres and tones of the nylon string and the steel string guitar. It's a really warm kind of intimate sound, which has a lot of uses, and hopefully you guys can find a way to put it into your workflow. This piece demonstrates kind of a lighter side, which is generally the vibe of the instrument, but there's a lot of different rhythms and melodies and reverses that we didn't even get into just because of the time we had. But I hope you guys will check it out. And once again, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get all the latest and greatest videos coming out of Heavyocity, so you get it first. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching and take care. Bye. All right, so what? So drink some more coffee. Okay.